Hi, good morning, everybody. It's 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Happy Monday. I'm going to talk about Iran again. I don't like beating a subject into the ground, but on Monday, a lot of times we have the talk shows where a lot of Trump's administration make the circuits, and it's interesting to see the hypocrisy and different stories that everybody's putting out. Uh, I've been watching the protests in Iran, and it's a little more serious than I thought yesterday. When I made the video yesterday, I'm watching today, and it's large scale, and they're very angry at being lied to by their government, justly so. One of the most interesting pieces, which I unless I saw it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. The protesters were flooding down the street, and there was Israeli and U.S. flag colors painted on the sidewalk because we are their favorite target. They were put there as part of a campaign against the United States and Israel. The protesters went around the flags. They refused to walk on these flags as a symbol of defiance towards the Ayatollah. That shocked me. I really thought at this point, I personally, I believe that to put it frankly, I believe that the U.S. was still on their shit list. Um, I don't know. I saw with my own eyes, so that's interesting. I think right now would be the perfect time to get the hell out of there. It's a domestic situation between the people of Iran and their government, and I think we should just have nothing to do with it. Um, Again, the tweets yesterday from Trump, there were two of them, both in American and in Farsi, threatening, more or less threatening the government of Iran. Don't kill the protesters. We're watching. And we have your back. We're with you, to the protesters. Again, Trump immediately inserts himself in this situation, which, to me, I think no good can come of that. To me, it's like a neighbor getting in the middle of an argument, not a physical fight. Say a husband and wife are having an argument about something domestic, and it's like a nosy neighbor jumping in the middle and trying to mediate it. It's a no-win situation. Inevitably, both the husband and wife are going to throw the neighbor the hell out of the yard, right? That's my opinion. All right, now on to the second part of this. Trump's security. There's two different. There's Trump's defense secretary. His name is Mark Esper, Secretary of Defense. He made the circuits yesterday, and it's interesting. His story changed a little bit as the day went on. His first stop at CBS, He says he didn't know anything about four embassies being. He just pretty much said, I don't know about that. The four embassies Trump refers to that were being. This is my problem. I'm not talking about Soleimani. First of all, the problem I have with the Soleimani thing, yes, Obama ordered drone strikes. I've heard that argument already. There's a big difference because Trump took out this pretty much the second highest guy in Iran. Soleimani only answered to Ayatollah, and that's it. So he was a freaking high-ranking member of their government, and we assassinated him, or Trump assassinated him. I don't want any part of that. Big difference from Obama and having strikes to protect troops in Syria, in Pakistan, back in 2014, 2015, whatever. Our troops under fire here or going to be attacked there, and drone strikes and whatnot. There's a world of difference between those two things. And yeah, of course, Obama, we're talking troops on a battlefield, of course. That's an imminent threat. And this is another interesting thing I came across. that if there was not an imminent threat, Soleimani did not pose an imminent threat, theoretically or literally, it would make Trump a war criminal. Apparently, an international law passed by the United Nations, there has to be, in this situation, this kind of strike, this kind of taking Soleimani out, there had to be an imminent threat. So, and then it's interesting too how Pompeo comes on last week, and contradicts the president, comes back, changes his tune. And the same thing happened yesterday with the Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper. He knew. He said at first CBS didn't know anything about these 4 embassies. These supposed 4 embassies that were under imminent attack, are going to be under imminent attack, imminent danger. Then later on CNN, he kind of changed it a little bit. That he believes the story, he just doesn't have the details. It seems nobody has the details. This is the thing. I think Trump is flat out lying. I know he's lying. I was a liar for 20 years, man. I was one of the biggest liars. I was a drug addict. I was a liar and manipulator, one of the best. All drug addicts are. Not bragging about that, but I could spot a liar. And I know we all know Trump's personality as a bragger, and he would love nothing more than to specify whose lives he saved and take credit for it. But he hasn't done that because I don't believe there was any. The only imminent threat, again, I'm going to go back to this again, and I'm the only one. This is my theory, and I haven't heard it anywhere else, that had to do with the drone strikes on the oil fields and how Trump is built up from 3,000 to 5,000 to 7,000 more extra troops since November in Saudi Arabia, building up these troops, sending B-1 bombers to Saudi Arabia back in November to protect the oil fields, to protect Saudi Arabian interests. I think that's what it was. I think that Soleimani maybe he was helping out with the drone strikes on Saudi Arabia on the oil fields, and I think that's what it was. That's my own personal opinion. He became a thorn in the side, financially, especially in the side of Saudi Arabia, and Trump and Saudi Arabia are like this. Trump said it before that he loves Saudi Arabia. They make him rich. And they make him rich right now. They buy his penthouses, they rent, they're one of his biggest contributors. So it's a little quid pro quo. Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And he, not to mention that Saudi Arabia pretty much bailed him out of bankruptcy in the 90s. So now he lends them our U.S. troops to guard their oil fields. His U.S. troops, hired guns. Trump's own personal security team, apparently. I think that's what he's hiding. I don't know. I could be very wrong because I don't hear anybody else saying this, or I'm very right. This 4 embassy thing's got some holes in it too. About these 4 embassies, I think this is being a past liar and manipulator. I think Trump was on the spot. And he'll say something vague that can't be quite proven to back up his previous lie. That's how liars work. And he came up with the 4 embassy line. There was 4 embassies that were in direct danger. This is something that can't be proven. It's vague. I read something more though. There's not a whole lot of people at any of these embassies that could have been targeted in Lebanon. I think it was Syria, Lebanon, Yemen. And there's not a whole lot of people, American citizens, at any of them. And these embassies are fortified to the bejesus now, especially after Lebanon and all that. These are hard targets, these embassies. So that would make it unlikely for any kind of militia attack, I would think. Another interesting point is Trump would be a war criminal under international law if there was not an imminent threat. And this is his reason to continue with this. There had to be an imminent threat. Otherwise, not theoretically, but quite literally, he would be considered a war criminal. So yeah, he's got to keep spinning this web. This is the problem I have with it too. These things that this was an assassination of a high-ranking government official, and he's lying. He's lying about the. I believe he's lying. He's well. The bottom line is he's not. He's definitely not being truthful. He's not being truthful with the Congress of the United States. He's not being truthful with the American public. And that's the biggest issue for me. I smell a liar here in this situation, and that bothers me. So that's my update for today. I believe that covers it. One more interesting point. It seems as though the Iowa caucuses and the impeachment trial might coincide, which could be a problem for Bernie Sanders, a sitting U.S. senator that has to be at both, and Elizabeth Warren, a sitting U.S. senator. It might. Some of the thinking is that it's going to be hard for them to pull off both, and it might give the other two. It's pretty much down to 4 now, and it might give the other two a bit of an advantage. I don't think so. I'm amazed to see Sanders still rising up, and that gives me hope. And one more last thought, too. It seems as though it looks that Biden's support of the Iraqi war back in 2003 could be a serious hole in his campaign. So those are just a couple more things to talk about, maybe on my next video. All right, you guys have a great Monday. Take care.